Today we're going to talk about the strategy for writing an introduction. This is especially for expository essays, but we can use a really similar strategy when we move into informational. So this idea doesn't really go away. We're just going to explain how it can look slightly different for expository writing versus informational. And today we're going to focus right here on expository essay. And your job today is going to be writing an intro paragraph. So the big idea here is that in 5th grade, the introduction to a persuasive, or sometimes we call it opinion essay, really has 2 parts. The first part that you're going to learn to write is the hook. The goal of the hook is to get your reader interested so that they want to read your writing. And it's also to get your reader thinking about your topic. Your reader might have some background knowledge that you want them to start thinking about so that they're able to understand your ideas. After you do the hook, you're going to give your position statement. Now, we've talked a lot about position statements over the course of this essay writing unit, so this should not be new information to you. If you're struggling to remember what a position statement is, go back into your writing notebook and look over the notes for the last 2 weeks. We talked about position statements when we were building our pro-con chart. We have our position statement written at the top of our outline, and our position statements really guide us as we're gathering evidence to put in our outlines so that we're ready to draft. And as a quick reminder, a position statement states your position, so basically whether you're for or against something, and your position statement also makes those claims that support your position. So why are you for something, or why are you against it? As we start to look at some persuasive introductions, be on the lookout what part is the hook and what part is the position statement. So here's an example that's already in your notebook. This is the introduction to the reptiles essay that we've been looking at and highlighting and color coding. In just a minute, we're going to read it together, but as we read, we're going to try to find the hook. Where am I trying to get you, the reader, interested in what I'm saying? And then also, how am I trying to get you thinking about the topic? Because with the reptiles one, I wanted people to think about reptiles not just like in the zoo or in nature. I wanted people to think about reptiles as pets. So in my hook, I talked about reptiles as pets. We're also going to be on the hunt for the position statement. This is when I state my position, whether I'm for or against something, and I make the claims that support my position. So in this one, I'm pro reptiles being pets, and I have some claims about why they would be good pets. So let's take a look and see if we can spot the hook and the position statement. Here we go. Close your eyes and imagine the perfect pet. Are you imagining a furry dog, a soft kitten, or even a fuzzy hamster? Chances are you never even considered that the perfect pet might have scales instead of fur. You might find it surprising, but reptiles make excellent pets. In fact, reptiles are the best choice for a pet because reptiles are less likely to cause damage to your home, because reptiles can be inexpensive to care for, and because reptiles bond with humans just like more typical pets do. So sometimes for me it's easiest to find the position statement first, where I said what I think. In this one, my position statement starts here, when I said, in fact, reptiles are the best choice for a pet because reptiles are less likely to cause damage to your home, because reptiles can be inexpensive to care for, and because reptiles bond with humans just like more typical pets do. And if we dig a little bit deeper, I'm going to even switch into green for claim. We can see my first claim was reptiles are less likely to cause damage to your home. That was claim 1. And here's another reason, another claim. Reptiles can be inexpensive to care for. That was my claim 2. And then claim 3. Reptiles bond with humans just like more typical pets do. That was claim 3. So all of that is going to be my position statement. That means that I'm expecting the rest of this whole first section, to be my hook. I'm trying to get you interested in my topic, and I'm trying to get you thinking about reptiles as pets. In the past, you might have learned to write hooks that were one sentence. As we move into 5th and 6th grade, we're going to start thinking about writing hooks that contain multiple sentences. So be open to the possibility that your hook might take you a few sentences to give the whole thing. This hook asks the reader to close their eyes and imagine the perfect pet. And then it asks a question. Are you imagining a furry dog, a soft kitten, or even a fuzzy hamster? I can feel all of those things. Those are all really soft things. So I'm using a question, but I'm also asking the reader to imagine and pretend to feel something. And then I continue to kind of explain my thinking. So in this intro, we could see the first part is the hook, and the second part is the position statement. Let's look at another example. Again, we're going to be looking for the hook and the position statement. Here we go. Yowl, rar, sss. The sounds you hear in a zoo reflect all the many animals that you can see there. But have you ever thought about how the animals feel about being trapped in cages? Zoos should be outlawed because they keep animals from living in the wild and because they cost a lot of money to keep up. So this is a shorter intro, but I still saw a hook and a position statement. Let's see if we can find the position statement first. The position statement should tell us what the author believes. And right here we see it. Zoos should be outlawed. That's what the author thinks. To outlaw something means to make it illegal. And then we're also looking for their claims that support that position. So in this case, why do they think zoos should be outlawed? We find that right after the position. It says zoos should be outlawed because they keep animals from living in the wild and because they cost a lot of money to keep up. So when we dig deeper, we can find those claims. It says here they keep animals from living in the wild. That's claim 1. And they cost a lot of money to keep up. That's claim 2. Now you might be thinking, this essay really should have 3 claims, and you would be right, but sometimes you might run into one that has less. And in this instance, this student decided to only write 2 claims. They're going to have to include an awful lot of evidence if they're going to be able to be on grade level with this one. This one might be a level 2 essay, but even still, I can see the position statement. So now that we found the position statement, I'm expecting that the rest of it should be the hook. The goal of the hook is to get the reader interested and to get them thinking about your topic. This reader did the interested part with sounds. Yowl, rar, and s. Those sound like different animal sounds. And then they tell me for a fact, the sounds you hear in a zoo reflect all the many animals that you can see there. So now I know we're not talking about animals in the wild, we're talking about them in a zoo. And then check out this question they ask to get us thinking about the topic. But have you ever thought about how the animals feel about being trapped in cages? Now they've got me thinking about their topic. Is it fair for them to be in the cage? So now I'm interested in thinking about the topic and ready to understand their position statement. Let's look at one more example. This next example is a little more complicated, but it still has the same parts. We're going to be looking for the hook and the position statement. Example introduction paragraph. Okay, here we go. When you consider your future, have you ever thought about your future job? Most jobs that pay well require a college education. For many families, the cost of college might prevent them from sending their kids. This can prevent people from getting the future jobs they dream of. But there's a solution to this problem: free college. College should be free for everyone because it encourages kids to work harder in school, it helps more families get out of debt, and it helps all Americans to be more educated. Once again, it's easiest for me to find the position statement first. I spotted it here because they use the word should. They're telling us what should happen. So here's the position statement. College should be free for everyone because it encourages kids to work harder in school, it helps more families get out of debt, and it helps all Americans to be more educated. So this author thinks college should be free for everyone, and they have their 3 claims. They have the claim about kids working harder in school, the claim about families getting out of debt, and the claim about helping all Americans be more educated. That's the position statement, which means all the rest of this is their their hook. They used a question. They're asking their reader to think about their future job, to get the reader interested, and then they talk about this topic of sending kids to college, and they kind of introduce the problem that they're focused on. So they've got you already thinking about the potential problem and why their answer might be a good one. So once again, we start with a hook that gets the reader interested and gets them thinking about the topic, and then deliver the position statements to say what you think and to give the claims that support it. Now let's look at the strategy so that you can be ready to write introductions of your own. The strategy goes like this. We are going to reread the position statement and try out different hook types. So you're going to look at the position statement for the essay that's being written and try out different hooks. You can write them out. You could use paper and pencil or type. You can talk them out. If you're allowed to talk with a partner, you could try talking out your ideas to see what works. Or if it's a silent work time, you can also always just think them through. Sometimes I like to count them off on my fingers. What would a sound hook sound like? What would a question hook sound like? And use that strategy to go through and find the one that would work best for your position statement. All right, so let's take a look at a new position statement, and then we're going to try out some different hooks. The position statement is up here at the top. I'm just going to highlight it really quick. So here's the position statement we're looking at. It says there should be laws that limit how many trees logging companies can cut down because they are destroying animal habitats, they increase the risk of landslides, and because if they cut down too many trees, there won't be enough to reseed the forests. So that's the position statement that we're working to support. Now let's look at some different hook strategies so you can decide which one would work best for your writing. The first strategy is called surprising sound. In surprising sound, you are just thinking about what sounds would go with your topic. So for this one, for logging, I thought about the sounds that loggers might make in a logging camp. So we might hear things like zrr, crack, timber. Many of the materials in our everyday lives are possible due to logging. And then I thought about another option. I thought, what if we ask a question? When you ask a question, you're really engaging the reader by making them think about the topic that you're talking about. So for this one, I have the question, have you ever stopped to think about all the ways you use trees in your everyday life? From pencils to books, toilet paper to furniture, trees are a big part of our lives. The third one is powerful fact. In that one, you're choosing a fact from one of your sources that you thought really gets your reader's attention. So this one I wrote, each year, 7 billion trees are cut down around the world. That adds up to nearly 1 tree for each person on Earth. So I thought that was a powerful fact, and then I explained why it's so important. Another hook strategy is called the snapshot strategy. It's basically where you're asking the reader to imagine being somewhere that helps them connect to your topic. So for this one, I wanted my reader to imagine being in a forest. Imagine a forest in one of Washington State's many wooded areas. You will find towering cedars, gnarled pines, and moss-covered big leaf maples. You will also find another common thing there, logging companies. And then finally, the last strategy is tell a story. In Tell a Story, you're kind of doing a memory moment or writing it like a narrative. That way the reader can imagine that they're involved in something or see how you were involved in something. The summer I turned 10, my family and I traveled to Sequoia National Forest to see the giant sequoias. Nothing could have prepared me for how massive these trees are. I was also surprised to learn that some had been victims of logging. So these 5 strategies can all help you think up what kind of hooks you could write that fit with your position statement. Once you try out the different hooks and you figure out which one you like best, your first task is to write that one down. So that's what I did first. Imagine a forest in one of Washington State's many wooded areas. You will find towering cedars, gnarled pines, and moss-covered big leaf maples. You will also find another common thing there, logging companies. And then after that, you write your position statement. There should be laws that limit how many trees logging companies can cut down because they are destroying animal habitats, they increase the risk of landslides, and because if they cut down too many trees, there won't be enough to reseed the forests. So all I did was first I wrote down the hook, and then I wrote the position statement. It's as simple as that. So now it's your turn. You are going to be responsible for practicing your writing a persuasive introduction paragraph, and you'll be using the handout that your teacher will give you. If you finish early, you can continue working on your chocolate milk essay. And if you are one of the few students who has not started the chocolate milk essay because you have been absent for quite a few weeks, then I'm going to ask you just to grab your silent reading book and I will get you caught back up tomorrow. Here is what your handout looks like. It's over here. Make sure you put your name at the top for me, and then here are the directions. It asks you to read each position statement, then write an introduction paragraph for an essay about that position statement. Remember, an introduction paragraph has a hook and a position statement. And then I left our hook chart right there on your page so you can see the 5 different types, and if you want to see examples, you can see them. I know they're written really small, but I wanted them to be there for you. I also want to point out that if you are feeling really challenged by this, if this is a really challenging task for you, the easiest strategies are down here on the left, and then they get harder as you go across. So if you're looking to start somewhere simple, start with things like surprising sound or ask a question. If you are looking for something more challenging, maybe start up here in snapshot or tell a story. They start easier and then get harder as you go. And then you have 2 position statements. So you're going to read position statement number 1. Think about the topic. Think about how you could catch the reader's attention and what you want them to think about. Try out some different try out some different hook strategies. And when you find the one that works for you, on the lines, you're going to first write your hook, and then you're going to write the position statement. So you're building the intro paragraph that could be used for that essay. And then you'll move on to the second one and try that one out. I can't wait to read your great ideas.